things that I'm really passionate about is I'm on the advisory board for something called Community Renewal International. It's all about the people themselves finding their power to renew their communities. So we do things like help them rebuild the infrastructure and provide training programs and playgrounds for children and all of these other things. But it's really the people themselves that once they sort of re-knit the fabrics of their community, they see that everybody's in it together. In most of our neighborhoods now, there's a community garden that the residents themselves went out and said, we're going to take this patch of land where maybe there was a burned down or burned out drug house or something, and they've turned it into a garden where everybody shares, vegetables and sort of the things in their gardens. Believe it or not, there's actually a lot of people in DC that are from Shreveport, and we've all formed this little coalition to try to bring this model to the nation's capital, because we feel like if we can replicate this here, that the whole world will see it. And we've actually been recognized by the Clinton Global Initiative as one of 5 programs that could transform the world.
I put together this huge 20-foot by 8-foot high chalkboard that reads, "I wish I had the courage to." And it just invites passersby to answer the question and to start thinking about the fears that they have and really step beyond that into courage to move forward. I really liked the format of a public chalkboard because I thought it brings people together in a physical way, and it sparks conversation that people normally don't have. And it makes connections between strangers, which is also really neat. I had people write to me from all over the world. Every single continent, somebody wrote to me and told me what an impact it had made on them. So it's sparking a global movement. Because if there are 2 things that I've learned from this wall, one is that we all have fear. It's not a matter of having fear or not having fear, it's how you interact with the fear. And the second is, there's something that all of us are holding back from the world. And if we can just have the support and the belief in ourselves to move forward and bring it into the world, this world can be a better place.
The Junior League has been a main focus for me for the past few years, mainly because not only, it's structured opportunities, but it allows me to actually explore volunteering with a variety of our community partners. So I've had the opportunity to volunteer with HealthWorks of Northern Virginia when they do their summer back-to-school fairs and they're doing vaccinations, and they bring the Junior League in to provide backpacks and actually work as patient navigators for their clients. I've had the opportunity to actually work in our shelters and provide curriculum and education for the kids that are having to live in transitional housing. Often we do forget those moments, but it's the little ones where they get to show you what they've done and what they've accomplished, and you're just, while you feel like you're such a little part, knowing really at the end of the day how much you did actually help them grow, that they may not remember, but you helped them create that step. Those are powerful moments.
Well, my involvement in the community started out mostly with children's charities, and that is because for 5 years I couldn't get pregnant. So when I finally did have healthy boy-girl twins, all I could think about was how I wanted to give back. So whenever I received a letter from a charity asking for help for a sick child, I immediately said yes, and it became our mission to help sick kids. The first company that we partnered with was the Make-A-Wish Foundation, and anytime anyone in the Make-A-Wish Foundation needed a ride to the airport to go on their wish trip, we signed up to do it complimentary. And then the next step was we actually solicited limousine companies all over the world, and we created an affiliate network of limousine companies that would give Wish kids free rides all over the world.
When I started out my career, I started volunteering at a shelter, my sister's place, for survivors of domestic violence. I worked on hotline, and then I also worked in the shelter. I helped to create a program to get the children out of the shelter on the weekends and help give women some free time. So a lot of my early efforts were actually focused on the kids in these families that had experienced domestic violence, and really found that very rewarding, because I found that women were empowered when they could use the tools of the legal system to get an injunction against their abuser. So I felt it was really even more effective than listening to women and counseling them, actually giving them a tool where they can take charge of their lives. Most of them are low income. They're becoming single moms if they choose to leave their abusers. And so when I see all the obstacles that they face, to me, they're the real heroes.
Throughout my career with the Downtown JCs, we were involved in all different types of service projects throughout the District of Columbia. Dollars for Needy Children, Create a Playground, Handicapped Children Field Day, a lot of human services types of events. I always tell young people today to really get involved in community service, because not only do you get a tremendous sense of satisfaction from giving back, but it's a great opportunity for leadership development. And as an example, the year I chaired the parade, I negotiated a television contract with NBC, things that I would never do in my daily life as a banker. Women Giving Back is something that I feel very passionate about, because when I joined that board, we were a complete startup. We were operating on one Saturday of the month out of the boardroom of the Northern Virginia Building Industry Association. We had one little closet that we would wheel racks of clothes in and out. And today we've just formed our own 501c3. We are serving literally thousands of women and children a year that are living in local homeless shelters and transitional housing throughout Northern Virginia.
I think one of our greatest privilege is to serve others. And so I have always sought to live a life of service and a life of stewardship. I think that whether I'm raising money, or whether I'm lending of my skills or talent, or whether I am lending skills, talent of others who've entrusted their careers into my hands, or sometimes it's also mentoring and engaging with other young women or young men, and sometimes it's just coaching also. So there's just so many different ways that I think everyone who has a heart for service can make a difference. And so I've been teaching in the classroom at Goodwill for the past 10 years. But it's the idea of being deeply involved and lending one's talent, one's skills, and just, the very, very most important gift, which is the gift of our time.
In 2008, I went to Haiti for the first time, did not want to go, and found 35 starving, dying, very, very sick kids. I got home and couldn't sleep. We had a little party at our house, and we told people to bring checkbooks, and that gave us the little bit of money that we needed to start helping Haitian Angels, which is our nonprofit organization where we have now 8 orphan homes. They house 10 kids each. We have a school. We just had our first day of school of our second year. We opened last year. And we have a church. We have sustainable farming. The kids play soccer. They know that they have opportunity now because of the love, the education, the homes, the shelter, the community, the vaccines, all of it. It's just going to change everything for the community.
My biggest impact, I think, has been on the PTO board at Yorkshire Elementary and coaching various levels of T-ball with my kids at GMBL. Yorkshire is a Title I school, which means that it is at most of the kids, 40% by definition are at or below the poverty line. They're on free or reduced lunches. In our school, the last test I had, 78% of those kids were on free and reduced lunches. So getting parent involvement there is very, very difficult because most of these parents are working 2 and 3 jobs, or English is not their first language. Well, I'm an assistant coach for 2 teams. It is the rec league team for 8U kids, so it's boys and girls under 8, and the tournament team for 8U. And I love it when I've been working with a kid to learn how to hit, and they're not getting it, and then all of a sudden they hit. And it's just an amazing feeling of emotion for me. I really love teaching them how to play.